Hi, I'm Alicia and welcome to my channel Papercraft Secrets. This is video 2 in my 5 colourful summer layout series. In this video I'm going to take you through how to make layout 2 in this series. But first let's have a look at all of the layouts. These are for people who really enjoy making layouts from a kit. They like to be able to watch the video. They like to be able to have all the materials there ready to go, and they like to be able to follow along and create layouts quickly without a lot of thinking, without a lot of stress. They just like to enjoy the creative process. They like someone else to have come up with all the ideas for them, and they just want to get their photos scrapped and in an album. So if this one here is Fun in the Sun, and this is layout number 1, it's such a lovely, bright, colourful layout with a gold title and lots of lovely colourful flowers. It's going to look beautiful in your scrapbook layout. This is the layout that we're going to make today, and this is layout number 2. Now this is the most complicated of all the layouts. It's got quite a bit of layering inside it. We're going to do this tutorial today, this step-by-step tutorial. I'm going to take you through exactly how to create this layout with a 4x6 photograph. We're going to make it together. We're going to have a lovely time doing it. Let's take a look now at layout number 3. This is a very simple, lovely tropical layout. These papers are Cocoa Vanilla Sunkissed. So they are very bright, they're very colourful. This is a quick and easy layout that we can create. It's got a beautiful rainbow, it's got clouds in the sky, a sunny day. You know, this is perfect for holiday photographs that you might have taken that you want to get scrapped into your album. This is a really easy, bright, colourful layout that will look great in your scrapbooking album. 2 4x6 portrait photos, some beautiful flowers, and a gorgeous rainbow, and we can call this layout done. Super easy. This is another relatively simple layout. It's not going to take you a lot of time to create. You've got 3 spots for photographs. You can get those photos scrapped and in your album while enjoying the process. All the hard work's done. If you'd like to join me and create 5 fun and easy, colourful, bright layouts, pop on over to my website at www.papercraftsecrets.com.au and purchase your kit. I'll post it directly to your address, and you can create it in the comfort of your own home whenever you please. Pop the YouTube video on and get creating with the products that I'll send you. These are the 5 beautiful layouts. Every layout has its own separate video tutorial. So we've already done layout number 1, and this is going to be layout number 2. So check back on the YouTube channel, and I'll put the link in the description box below for layout number 1 on this that we've already created. I think it's time to get started. Let me take you step by step through how I created this layout, and you can do it too at home. We'll do it together and you'll have a wonderful layout at the end of this class. So first of all, I need you to take a white 12x12 cardstock and this lovely sunset coloured paper from your kit. We're going to first of all trim off our barcode, so measure your white cardstock at 12 inches and then make your cut. And that'll remove your barcode, but it'll also make sure that your paper's exactly 12 inches in length. This is our paper here. It's the number 5 Summer Lights paper that we're using for this kit, for this layout. So we're going to again trim the barcode off this paper. I'm just lining it up carefully, trimming it off, and then we're ready to get started. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to have the summer page as the background border, and we're going to have the white cardstock on top. So we're going to trim our cardstock down to 11.5 by 11.5 inches. So we're going to take off ½ an inch on 2 of the sides. So measure at 11.5 inches and make your cut. Turn your paper around, measure at 11.5 inches and make your cut. So now you have, instead of a 12 by 12 square, you've got 11.5 square piece of paper, and you can see when we put that on top how we've got that lovely border all the way around the edge of our white cardstock. Now you could just glue that straight down, but we're not going to, because we're going to rescue that paper underneath. We don't want to just cover that up with a white cardstock and not use that beautiful paper, so we're going to do a little trick. Here's our square. I'm going to cut out a square from the middle of this page. Now we know that our paper is 12 by 12 inches. We're going to measure that in 1½ inches on all sides. So that'll make us have a 10½ by 10½ inch square on the inside that we can reuse in our layout. So we're making sure we're not wasting any of our paper. So what we need to do is we're going to measure 1½ inches, and we're just sort of guessing. I'm going to use my ruler. I'm going to measure down 1½ inches, and that's where I'm going to start my blade cut. Okay. Measuring it so it's 1½ where the blade is, which is in the middle. Then I press down, and I'm going to go all the way down to 1½ inches at the bottom. Not going all the way down, just from 1½ to 1½. And then I'm going to do the same on this side. So I've got my line there now, so I know where 1½ is. Measure that down. Measuring it again from the line, 1½ all the way down to 1½ from the bottom. So you can see how I'm making that square in the middle. This is going to cut out that square for us so that we can use this paper. Now it doesn't matter if your edges are just like a little bit off, that's fine because you're not going to see that at all. So don't stress if you've got like a little extra cut here and a little extra cut there, that doesn't matter at all. There's our square that we're going to reuse. And here's our square that we're going to cover up. I'm going to have the yellow at the bottom, or maybe I might have the yellow at the top because that's the sun up the top perhaps. Up to you how you want to do it. We're going to put our white cardstock on top. So I'm going to glue, put a line of glue around the edges. Somewhere in the middle there. That's it. Then we will position our white cardstock on top of that, getting an even border all the way around the edge of the white page. And just smooth that down. So that's our base for our layout. It's very easy. It's a good trick to use if you would like to reuse some of that cut paper that will disappear if you just stick a 12 by 12 cardstock on top. Now we are going to use a 4 by 6 inch photograph. I'm just going to use this white piece of cardstock for the purpose of the video, and then later on I'm going to come back through and add my photos to all of these layouts. Up to you. If your photo is ready, just use your photo straight onto this paper. If you're not sure about what photo you're using, you can choose to use white cardstock, and then you can add your photo on top at a later date. So we're going to cut this reddy orange paper at 6.5 by 4.5 so that we have a nice border. So my first cut is at 4.5, doing a cut at 4.5 inches. My second cut is at 6.5 inches. Keep your scraps because we're going to use those in our layout. This will mean that our photo has a nice border all the way around the edge. I'm going to use some recycled cardboard to put at the back of my photograph. You can do this as well, or you can just glue your photo straight down onto your paper, whatever you prefer. The cardboard just adds a little bit of dimension to the layout. Put some glue on the back of your cardboard. And stick that on to the back of your photograph. Add some more glue onto the other side of the cardboard. And glue that down onto the sunset coloured paper. Okay, this is looking great. So we've got our photo ready, we've got our backing paper ready. So now we're ready to move on to the next part of our layout, which is our layers. We're going to use those scraps for our layers. With our scraps, we're going to cut 2 rectangles measuring 2 inches by 4 inches. Let's do that again. That's our 2-inch cut. That's our 4-inch cut. So we've got 2 rectangles measuring 2 inches by 4 inches. Now we're going to make a backing for that. You can see that I've got a backing cut already, but it's a little bit too thick. It took me a while to get these measurements right. We want to cut the second 2 rectangles to 2.25 by 4.25. So there's our first one at 2.25 by 4.25. And our second rectangle is 2.25 by 4.25. So that's 2 rectangles at 2 inches by 4 inches and 2 rectangles at 2.25 inches by 4.25 inches, so that they sit nicely on top of each other with a little bit of a border around each other. So it just did take me a little while to sort those measurements out, and don't stress if you don't get yours exactly right because they're just a measurement. It's just a rectangle, but this is what I used. So I'm just going to glue those down now so that I have these 2 layered rectangles that will fit in with my layout. So I'm going to glue that one onto the first one. So that's the small 2 by 4 being glued onto the 2.25 by 4.25. And this is the other small 2 by 4 rectangle being glued onto the 2.25 by 4.25. And they're going to go behind our little photo. They're going to be the layers in our layout. Now what I'm going to do to make these go a little bit further is I'm going to cut them in half. so that we're going to have 4 bits that we can use. So just sort of in the middle somewhere, it doesn't have to be exactly exact. So you're cutting these pieces in half, and this is going to make them go further in our layout. Okay, so we're cutting them in half at about 2 inches. Right, now we've got 4 little bits that we can use in our layout. We're going to have one at the top, one at the bottom, another one at the top, another one at the bottom. It's going to be like a staggered sort of look. This was one of our scraps. We're also going to use this. We're just going to cut that piece in half. Again, it's optional to use that. We're just going to add that on there to give us another layer to play with. Now, well done you for getting to this point. Okay, this is probably just a little bit more complicated, but again, if you've had a bit of trouble with this section, don't stress too much over the measurements. Just rectangled layers is fine at the back of this. We're just going to glue that on now so that we have this little layered look coming out from behind our photo. Sort of a steps or a staircase look of these little rectangle pieces just being layered down, and that will sit underneath our photograph. Now we're just going to do exactly the same for the bottom piece, and you can sort of line them up with the top pieces so that you can get them as close to accurate as possible. So let's line those up so that they look the same. You can use our ruler to just make sure that that's nice and straight. That's looking good. And then our last little bit, that was a little scrap. That would measure about 1.5 inches, I would say, that little scrap. Okay, that looks like it's all lined up now. And then we will add the photo on top like that, and that looks like a really nice layered look. Okay, that looks good. All right, our next job is to take this page here, and we're going to cut out this little sun here that's got the words sunshine, state of mind. Cut around the outside of the rectangle first so that you've got a good way to hold on to the little rectangle, and then cut out around each one of the sun's rays. Now I left a little gap around mine so that you could actually see, you see an aqua border around each one of the sun's rays. This works well because of that line around the circle part is in aqua. So it actually sort of suits the image to have a small edge. And that's going to sit there on our layout. Now you might remember our fussy cutting. We fussy cut this page out at the very beginning, and that was page number 1, Growing Wild. So we fussy cut out all of those flowers and we popped them into a snap lock bag. We're going to use some of those flowers now in this layout. So we're taking a little half cut flower, just experimenting with where that might go. Now again, this is completely up to your creativity. We might have a flower here on the corner of this photo. You don't have to do exactly the same as mine. If you want to change your flowers, that's totally fine. What I'm doing is I'm just sort of experimenting with the flowers and seeing which flowers work the best. Maybe that one up there. See how it's the half cut and how that works perfectly on the edge. Maybe this one here. It's a nice really big one with 2 big green leaves. Don't forget, when you purchase your kit, you get a sketch for each of these layouts. So you can reuse that sketch with different paper collections that you have at home. So you'll be able to bust some of your stash as well as reusing a sketch, and it'll look completely different with different papers. So here I'm just sort of deciding which flowers should go where, which flowers should I use. And I enjoy this process. I actually find this as the most sort of therapeutic part of creating the layout. It's this putting the flowers in their right spots or where they could go, changing them, trying something else. So don't be afraid to place something on and then change it, and then try a different bouquet and change it. It's all part of the design process. I like that little single flower. Now nothing's glued down yet, but let's have a think about a title. We've got our gold glittery titles that we can use, and we have these ones here that might suit quite well, or maybe you might like something different on yours. That's totally fine. Please don't feel that you have to use the same words that I've used. So let's move this up a little bit now, because it's just a little bit too far down. Let's have a little look at the measurements so that we can get an even spread across the layout, because that always helps to position something in the middle. So if we're going to draw this layout, we'd have our photo here and our little bits there, and this distance between the top and the start of the first layer is 1.5 inches. And the same at the bottom here. This distance here, although it's not drawn to scale, is 1.5 inches. And that is probably a terrible drawing, but you get the idea. It's 1.5 inches here and 1.5 inches there. So that will ensure that your photo and your layers will get put in the middle of your page so that you'll have a nice edge. And it's 2 inches from the side on this side. So that's where I've positioned mine. For those of you that really like to position right in the middle, you know, and use the ruler to get the position in the right spot, that's for you. For the people that don't really care about that, that's fine. You just go ahead and just pop it down where your eye, you know, shows you to pop it down. Some people work by eye, some people work by measurements. I've just put the measurements there in case you prefer them. So I've got 1.5 from the top, 2 inches from the inside. And then let's do the bottom ones. It's going to be 1.5 from the bottom and 2 inches from the side. It's always a little bit tricky to get it in exactly the right spot, isn't it? There we go, there's the 2 inch mark, there's the 1.5 inch mark. That should be about right. I'm measuring from the edge of the white card. And then our photo is going to go in the middle there, perfectly like that. Now we're thinking about that floral cluster there on the corner and that one there, down there perhaps. Let's glue this little one down here. I'm happy with this one in the corner. Start to glue a few of these floral clusters down. Just going to pop that one in there. I'm happy with this one at the top. I think that one works really nicely. I'm happy with our sun on the side. Let's glue the sun down. It's going to just go just under our photo. Our photo is about 1.25 inches from the edge. I'm going to pop that in there. That's looking good. We're going to have that one there. So you can see that the layout is starting to take shape now. We're going to have our gold title down here in this space. Let's work with our title. As we did in the first layout, we know that we can cut the packaging and position our title where we want it first on the page without having to stick it down straight away. So this gives us the opportunity to really plan where we're putting our title. So I'm choosing Sweet Summer Days, but again, you can choose any of the gold titles that you might like to use. So we might move that over that way a little bit. See how you can sort of play around with where the words are and see where you like them the best. Once you're happy with your position for your letters, it's time to start gluing them on or adhering them onto the white cardstock. So you can do one letter at a time with the days word, and you can kind of put it sort of underneath, and that helps you to position things exactly where you want them. So I fast forwarded this little bit so you can just sort of see how I positioned it. It sometimes can take a couple of goes to get it in the right spot, but don't stress because you can actually peel it off the paper without ripping the paper if you're really careful. And you can do this a few times and it's still quite sticky. So there's no stress about that, just take your time. I'm just going to add some little pieces of recycled cardboard so that I can get this image on. I won't actually be gluing it to my photograph, I'll be gluing it to the white cardstock. Let's finally get that photo glued down. I know I've been sort of putting that off a little bit of gluing that actual photo down, but I am so happy with the position of this photo now. Everything is worked around it, so there's no point in not gluing it down anymore. Once I glue that down, then I can glue my floral cluster on down the bottom here. Now I'm thinking about another couple of little loose flowers, perhaps joining those two other clusters together, because they're all really pretty. It looks like they're just being kind of thrown up in the air. Let's glue down this one here so that it's nice and secure on the layout. And then let's add our little flowers that sort of are just mid-air, flying through the air, blowing in the breeze. And then let's glue down our other cluster from the very top of the page. That's looking good. We were in a diagonal line with our floral clusters again on this layout. Just going to add a little thing under that leaf there to give that a bit extra support. Okay, this is all looking really good. We're nearly finished. So we've got another big floral cluster. That might be a little bit too big. We could use a smaller floral cluster there, which looks quite nice. Or we have a edge one. I think the edge one is nice. Let's put the edge one down there, and that will just fill in that space at the top there. That looks good. Do we want another one on the corner? What if we used one of our ephemera instead? Let's break it up a little bit. Just pop them into this little bowl. We could use bicycle, maybe. Or maybe we could use that cute banner. That is cute. I do like the banner. You could use whatever you want. You don't have to follow exactly what I use. You could try something different, but I think the banner's really quite cute. I like the banner. Do we need a flower down here? I don't know. What do you think? Does it need that little flower? Maybe on this side? Looks like it's going in here, just under our title. We could add some more of these little floating flowers that are so cute. Maybe we'll just pop that in there. It's up to you where you want to pop your little floating flowers that are floating in the breeze. Do we want a love heart? We've got plenty of those gold love hearts that we could add in if you wanted to add a gold love heart in. I think this is just about done. Do we want a palm tree? Nah, that doesn't really go, does it? I think we'll go with this little banner. I think it's really, really cute. Because I haven't put my photo down yet, I don't want to glue it straight down onto the white cardstock where my photo would be. So I'm just going to add a little bit of recycled cardboard, and I'm just going to glue that onto the white backing card and let the rest just sit there. So when I want to put my photo in, I can just slide it straight in under that banner. Do we need a little love heart? Maybe we could put a love heart up there. Maybe not. I think our layout is complete. Let's have a look at it a little bit close up. We've got our beautiful gold glitter titles, Sweet Summer Days. We've got our sunshine state of mind. We have the beautiful bright flowers and the colourful bunting. This layout is so much about spring or summer and positive frame of mind. You could put any photo in there. and it will display it nicely in your album. Don't forget to head on over to my website at www.papercraftsecrets.com.au and pick up your kit. Then you can have all the materials ready to create this lovely layout and another 4 lovely layouts at home. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching and have a lovely crafty day.